Another place you might see the 30, 60, 90 triangle is starting with a rectangle, where you would take a diagonal of this rectangle. We could do either one. We have two right triangles here, which cause these to be a 30, a 60, and a 90-degree triangle on both sides. Except the 30 degrees is up here. This one is a 60. And this one is the 90-degree angle in that triangle. But we've got this line, which is shared by both triangles, and that's the hypotenuse. The x angle would be here and here, and the long leg would be here. So that might be a setup of a problem where they're talking about a rectangle that's actually cut with a diagonal. You'll get another 60, 90, 30, 60, 90 triangle out of that one. Back to our chart, so we could fill in some of those values. Let's say we have 18 here. So our long line, that would be here, the long leg, would be 18. Now we're going to need to find out what our x and our 2x is going to be. So let's take this equation, x radical 3 is equal to 18, and solve for x. We're going to take radical 3, divide by radical 3 on both sides. That cancels this out. We're left with our x. So as soon as we can solve this part, and really at this point all we really need to do is simplify it. Since we cannot have a radical in the denominator, we're going to have to multiply by itself, top and bottom. This turns into a 3. And this, the numerator, is 18 radical 3. So what we have here is x is equal to 18 radical 3 over 3. We have whole numbers that we can actually reduce. This is divisible. So x is equal to 3 divides into itself once, and 3 divides into 18 6 times. So now this x is 6 radical 3. And it's ready to be put into our value here, 6 radical 3. Now that we know our x term, we can put it into the 2x and find out what the value is. So this is 2 times the quantity, 6 radical 3. We can multiply whole numbers together. That gives us 12. But we can only multiply radicals together, and we only have 1. So this is just copied down. So we have 12 radical. We're now ready to take these values and properly fill them in on the triangle, and then go on to answer whatever the question was, that the subsequent question, whether it was an area of the triangle or just what was one of the sides of the triangle. We'll have to, after it's organized on the chart, it's easy to take that information and truly answer the question. So triangle would look like this with a 30, 60. So what we're saying is the side opposite the 60-degree angle is 39. Okay, in this case, we're trying to get our x term if we can. Let's work on that one first, because this is important that we get that side. It makes getting the hypotenuse that much easier. So we're going to set up our equation as 39 is equal to x radical 3. Divide by radical 3 on both sides. X is equal to 39 over radical 3. We're not allowed to have a radical in a denominator. So we're going to have to clear that by multiplying by itself. Top and bottom, we'd be fair. This makes just a plain 3. The actual calculation, if you want me to explain that, is 3 radical 3 is equal to a radical 9, and that is a perfect square. 9 is 3 times 3. So this calculation of multiplying by itself gives us the whole number 3. On the top, the numerator, it's 39 radical 3, because you can only multiply and divide whole numbers and radicals in groups. Whole number group, a radical group. Now we've got a whole number in the denominator of the fraction, which is divisible into the 39. So we're going to clear that. 1 and 3 goes into 39 13 times. So the finished answer to this is 13 radical 3 is equal to x. Let's take this value up to our x. 13 now radical 3. The hypotenuse is 2x. Well, we already know what our x term is now, so we can plug that into it. 2 times the quantity, 13 radical 3. 2 times 13 are the whole numbers, so we can multiply those together, and we can get 26. The radical is by itself, so it's just copied down. The 90 degree, the hypotenuse, which is across from this 90-degree angle, measures 26 radical 3. We can now mark our whole entire triangle. This is 13 radical 3. This is 26 radical 3. If we were doing an area of this triangle, we now have our values. We have area is equal to 1/2 base times height. So we're going to fill that in with area equals 1/2. The base is 13 radical 3 times the height, which is 39. So you can see how these values then plug into the calculation. Here we have 1/2 of 39 is 19.5 times 13, 27, 28, 5, 9 and 1, 13.